Unforgettable stories out of Western Jamaica from the scrapbooks of Adrian Freighter. As a journalist with considerable experience in the field, I have visited many horrible crime scenes in my time, especially since 2005 when Montego Bay lost its friendly city status to rampant criminality as marauding gangsters transformed the city into a shooting gallery. Incidents such as the infamous 2005 Canterbury shootout, which saw fearless gangsters taking on members of the security forces in a scary 8-hour gun battle in which several police officers defied their commanders and fled in panic as gunshots whistled around them. In fact, had soldiers not been flown in from Kingston to join the fight, the gunfight could well have lasted the entire day. There were also incidents that tugged at my heartstring. One incident in particular was a case in which two young men were killed inside their house in Pitford, St. James in an alleged confrontation with the police. I will never forget the face of their weeping great-grandmother who claimed she witnessed the shooting from close range. As the tears streamed down her 80-odd-year-old face, I too felt like crying as she turned to me and said, "Sir, I never know say as a police wicked," as she trembled uncontrollably. Them just pushed the two boys in the kitchen and just give them pure gunshot. Had this Jamaica come to, sir? However, faced with the harsh reality of the situation on the ground in Western Jamaica, especially in St. James, which has been recording in excess of 100 murders every year since 2005, to include a high of 248 in 2017, it is clear that there are many young men out there with illegal guns who are ready to kill, and there are many policemen out there who are waiting to transform them into statistics. After scores of crime scenes I've visited in my time, one in Salt Spring in 2010 was so brutal that it took rampant lawlessness to another level. On the morning of that incident, the city woke up to the news that 5 persons were brutally slaughtered in Salt Spring. And as was customary at the time, I picked up my notebook, my tape recorder and my camera and headed for the location. In this edition of Lest You Forget, I will be revisiting that incident from a story I wrote for the Gleaner, which was published on April 26, 2010, under the headline Mobay Mayhem, 5 Killed, House Torched, Salt Spring in Fear. The story read as follows. 5 persons were killed gangland style in volatile Bird Hill Avenue of Megitop in Salt Spring, St. James on Saturday night in yet another murder arson which has left the community traumatized and residents cowering in fear. 2 bullet-riddled bodies were found along a track in a section of the community, while another 3 bodies, which were reduced to smoldering ash, were found in the burnt-out remains of a wooden house. The house was apparently torched after the 3 individuals were shot and killed. 2 bodies left intact have been identified as those of 23-year-old Elton Scammy Hines, a mechanic of a Bird Hill Avenue address, and 20-year-old tattoo artist Carnell DeMarco Brown, who is of a Megitop address. The bodies had so many bullet holes that it was as if the men had run through a strainer. 2 of the victims in the burnt-out house were identified as Damian Brooks and 20-year-old Byron Powell, whose addresses are not yet known. Residents said they were awakened about 3 a.m. by heavy gunfire. Shortly after, neighbors noticed that a 2-bedroom wooden house was on fire. "It sounded like the shot them was firing at my doorway," one shaken resident who wished not to be identified told the Gleaner. "I quickly slid down on my bed, put the chimney upon my head and just start beg God to spare me until daylight." While some bewildered residents looked on in shock as police scene of crime technicians processed the spot where 2 of the bodies were found, others spoke in hushed tones relating their individual experiences of horror. "We are not getting much information from the people," a policeman on the scene told the Gleaner. "In situations like these, people are usually reluctant to speak." Henry McCurdy, the People's National Party Vice Chairman for Region 6 and constituency caretaker for the area, who was on the scene, described it as yet another example of the wanton lawlessness which has resulted in some 79 murders in Montego Bay since the start of the year. This is another sad day for our law-abiding citizens, as we are once again left in fear on account of these rampaging killers, said McCurdy. I am calling on the new Commissioner of Police, Owen Ellington, to develop a special crime plan for Montego Bay because the city is being destroyed by lawlessness. The latest killing invoked memories of a similar incident in the same community on April 18 last year when marauding gunmen invaded a wake in Bucktool Lane and killed cousins 22-year-old Ricardo Ricketts, 26-year-old Roy Ricketts Jr. and 24-year-old Fabian Bailey. At that scene, a fully intact brain was seen on a rock close to where one of the men fell. Since that Salt Spring incident, I have visited many other crime scenes, but for some strange reason, the memory of this one seems to stick with me, which makes it one of those unforgettable stories out of Western Jamaica. Unforgettable stories out of Western Jamaica from the scrapbooks of Adrian Freitas. Before you go, please remember to subscribe.